they're just too goal-centric.
Yeah, but also we can say that Luka Modric actually won it, in 2018.
Yes.
In that particular one, it was not a prolific goal scorer at that point in time. It wasn't as if he was getting the goals.
And to a lot of people, it was a one-off. In fact,
Yeah,
so
it was
many people still feel he didn't deserve it.
Exactly, but because but if you look at that year for him, you would say he also actually deserved it. That was the year Croatia got to the finals of the World Cup
Because
they won the Champions League.
It's important to talk about these things. I'm thinking about it that we have so many young chaps out there who dream of having a career in football.
Yeah.
And you don't want a situation where everybody. Because you want to be the best. I mean, it's natural that you want to be the best. You think, look, I've got to be an attacker. Because if
I'm not an attacker, I'm not scoring goals, there's no chance of
being
me
rated the best in what I do.
Yeah. I think going forward, maybe there would definitely be some kind of
going
change.
forward?
Maybe not. We just have to wait and see.
We talk about the goal scorers all the time.
I mean,
it's also our fault too.
How is it our fault? I mean, the game is all about the goals. It's all about what you want to see. The number of goals being scored.
You don't lose.
But when you don't score enough to, you might not win.
So, but when you score and you concede, especially when you concede more, you will lose.
Wow. That's the game.
Okay, so let us get going. Remember, this was in the news yesterday, but of course, we didn't have the opportunity to dissect it. And I know this will be eating a different code in Ferrome, so we must talk about it. Somebody's back in the folds for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. 2022 World Cup qualifiers of the Super Eagles Nigeria have recalled former Manchester United man, Odion Igalo, in the hope that the striker will return to the international for 2 years after his retirement. Remember, as we speak, is yet to confirm if truly he has come out of international retirement. The 32-year-old quit the Super Eagles after finishing as top scorer at the 2019 African Cup of Nations, and already told newsmen that a return was not something he had to rush. So let us look at the 24-man full squad, starting with the goalkeepers: Francis Uzoho, Daniel Akpeyi, and Jamilu Collins, Abdullahi Shehu, Zaidu Sanusi, and Kevin Apoguma. For the midfielders, Frank Oyeka, Joe Aribo, Wilfred Ndidi, and Alex Iwobi. It's no more news than Ogene Karo Tebo is not fit, is out injured for a long time. And forwards, Ahmed Musa, the captain, Samuel Chukwueze, Kelechi Iheanacho, senior man, Victor Osimhen, Moses Simon, Paul Onachu, Chidera Ejike, Odion Igalo. I know why a lot of people are angry, but because it simply means that we've had to sacrifice Taiwo Awoniyi. Let me get your take.
Today, probably you already know my take, but let me just voice it out. I think it just shows how serious we are at this part of the world. That's just what I feel, because I mean, we can't have massive talents in that particular position, in the forward position, and we'll still decide to opt for a man that decided to retire from the national team a couple of years ago. I mean, that does not shows us moving forward. That does not shows progression as far as I'm concerned. That shows that probably we are being stuck in the past, or stagnant where we are. Because Odion Igalo, I keep asking myself, what exactly is it bringing into that team that we don't actually have?
Experience.
In terms, no. Out of that, in terms of performance on the field of play, what is it going to bring?
You want to underplay the importance of experience in the team.
Experience? Don't we have enough experience in that team? Is that what you're telling me? Ahmed Musa is not. Why is Ahmed Musa still kept in that team? Is it not because of the so-called experience? Because it's the captain, and because of the so-called.
I felt captain at all.
Listen, Tunde, I felt another person could have been a captain and still do well.
But he's the captain.
But he's the captain, and I accept to the fact that it's still coming on board.
John is not the
that experience,
but
is enough.
Experience.
That experience of Ahmed Musa, I think, is enough. Why adding Odion Igalo?
How experienced are the other guys?
How experienced are they not?
Victor Osimhen.
Is he not experienced enough? Someone that is playing in one of the big teams.
How many international tournaments at the senior level?
At the senior level,
Paul Onachu.
You have to keep experience. Does not come.
I mean, these are good players, but in terms, remember, at the international level, where you're probably playing maybe just 5 or 6 games.
Okay.
It's not like a league run. You need something to be able to call on that. Okay, in 2016, we found ourselves here. This was how we were able to manage to navigate it.
I get your point, but if you don't give those guys the chance to also accumulate that level and that times of experience, you wouldn't.
Remember, it doesn't mean Taiwo Awoniyi will not go to the next World Cup in Qatar.
We don't know that. This is Ghana trouble we're talking about.
We also don't know yet.
Don't be surprised if they decide to stick with Odion Igalo even for the African Cup of Nations.
Well, time definitely will tell for us. So I mean, it's just important that I got your take on it, because I know, immediately I saw the list, the first person that came to mind certainly was Ferran, because he's been very vociferous about, his misgivings on getting
it doesn't just
Igalo
right.
back into the team. But hey, he's been recalled. Let us hope that he would. I'm sure Ferran will be hoping that he says no.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Okay, quickly from against Hungary's Martin Fusovic. World number one, Djokovic won 6-2, 4-6, 6-3 in his first singles match since Russia's Daniil Medvedev dashed his hopes of clinching a calendar Grand Slam in September's US Open final. Djokovic aiming to finish 2021 as the year-end men's number one for a record 7th time will play Adrian Manarino or Guy Monfils in the 3rd round. So, I said something before coming on here. There's a certain manager somewhere who I believe should be partnering with at least half his salary with a certain player.
You said at the beginning of the program.
You want to tell me?
No, you said it off air. You should say it on air.
Yes, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should be at least, cutting the salary into two. Mm-hmm. Let 50% go to CR7.
Yeah.
And then
keep the remaining half.
It gets to keep half. Because how many times will this guy
keep
bail him out of a very difficult situation? A lot of people were saying, look, if he had lost against Tottenham Hotspur, maybe by now we'll be talking about Conte at the Old Trafford.
But he was able to actually win that game.
Yes.
And
thanks to the experience of Ronaldo and Cavani.
Yeah.
But more so about Ronaldo, because he scored a goal and, of course, created an assist. And yesterday, in the Champions League, he had to count on this man again at 36. He's actually closer to 37.
Yeah.
Again.
I mean, it just keeps scoring. There is no word to actually describe this man at this particular level. A lot of people call him the man for the Champions League, the man for the moment. And that's it. I mean, those are the kind of moments he actually lives for. The moments where everything looks gloomy, everything looks like it's going south. And the man comes up and gets the goals, get the goals on for Manchester United. Massive one for this man. He knows when to be, where to be, the kind of position he needs to be to make sure he actually gets to go. And it's so just unfortunate that some set of people are trying to ruin his work right there at Manchester United, e.g. Maguire, because I felt they could have actually probably...
And maybe David here yesterday too.
Yeah, maybe to some extent, but especially Maguire. I think the second goal for Atlanta, he saw it. Maguire actually saw that player and he still couldn't do anything. I mean, Eric Blake played more like an 80 million pound defender than Maguire, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you look at the way this man played and you felt that, hey, this guy is so overrated as far as I'm concerned. He should not, that's not the kind of player that should be making that Manchester United squad every week in, week out. There's a lot of things that needs to be done from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We saw Eric Bayer maybe try another partnership in the middle of the defense. Eric Bayer, probably Raven Verreeren, to see what he will actually bring to the table. Because we saw that if you give these guys the chance to play, they will definitely prove themselves. And it's looked like Maguire is no longer interested in playing for Manchester United with the way he played, especially Pogba as well. Looks like his mind is out. No. Because, I mean, you don't keep giving those kind of performances almost every week, and you tell me that you still want to play for a club.
Okay. Okay, Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. Now, let's talk about, we've simply just focused on Atalanta versus Manchester United game in the Champions League yesterday in Group E. Well, Barcelona secured another narrow win against a resolute Dynamo side in Kiev thanks to Ansu Fati's 70th minute strike. That's the man who inherited Messi's number 10 jersey. Yeah. And of course, it's starting to. Well, okay, let me be careful.
I like the pause.
It's starting to prove something. The forward blasted, conjured an equalizer with Marc-Andre ter Stegen acrobatically denying Victor Tsigankov. This was Barcelona's first victory away from the Camp Nou in all competitions this time. This is to tell you, how badly they've struggled so far.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, I once said that this team will not make it out of the group.
And I once told you they will. They can.
I think at this point,
you want to start to believe.
They will.
Now you have to give him a kudos.
Aguero is out injured for 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disaster for him as personally as a person. He had, a cardiac arrest in the last game that he played, but he's back. But hopefully, he will get stronger. But he's actually out for about 3 months at this point in time. But talking about that game, I think generally going forward in the attack, looks like life is gradually coming back to that particular team. We saw Dembele make his debut again after a long time out from injury, and we saw him brought some kind of wonderful pace into that attack yesterday that was actually missing. Ansu Fati too, eye for goal, fantastic position for that young man, and he actually got the goal. Mathematically, it still looks very realistic, for Barcelona to qualify to the next round. Now, all they need to do is make sure they win their next game. I think that's against Benfica, and hopefully Bayern defeats Dynamo Kiev in the next game.
Hopefully or expectedly.
This is football. There's not we say anything can happen. But this Bayern team, I don't think they would lose guard anytime soon.
Remember, that team already has qualified to the next round. But yesterday, another superb performance from Lewandowski, who got a hat-trick and missed a penalty on his 100th Champions League appearance as Bayern booked their place in the last 16. Benfica again had no answer to the German team's attacking prowess with Gnabry and Leroy Sané also adding fine goals in the process. Lewandowski has now scored 81 Champions League goals, passing the 80 mark in 100 games compared with Lionel Messi's 102 matches and Cristiano Ronaldo's 116. So it tells you the rate at which he's getting those goals. Yeah. But the question is, at 36, 35, 36, will he still be able to do it? Only time will tell. And in Group F, very boosted their hopes of qualifying after a hard-fought win, against Young Boys. It was 2-0. A lot of people, quite, some kind of attention on the coach, Unai Emery. Some were asking if that was going to be his last game for them. But, the report you are getting in some quarters is that he's likely to reject the offer from Newcastle United. We'll wait to see what happens. Yes, as we told you earlier, Cristiano Ronaldo repeated his match day 3 heroics against Atalanta to rescue a point for Manchester United, who remain top of the group. Strikes from Josip Ilicic and Duvan Zapata twice put the third place Italians had, only for 2 Ronaldo finishes a minute into added time of either half to salvage a draw. Lucas Mecha hits a fine second half goal as Wolfsburg revived their last 16 hopes. They defeated Salzburg 2-1. And the French champions, talking about Lille, Olympic Lyon, I beg your pardon. Champions went second in the section and left the opponent bottom with a comeback victory in Andalusia. Sevilla started positively. Lucas Ocampo sweeping them into an early lead after Rafael Mera's shots had been saved, but they were pegged back before halftime as Jonathan Davis slammed in a spot kick. Chelsea as well, telling everybody that, look, we are the champions of Europe. Probably the most informed team at this point in time. Even ahead of Bayern, I'll take them because this team is so difficult to beat. Yeah. Even when they are not on top of their game.
Even when, some of their best players actually out, they're still actually getting the goods. They're still actually getting the goals. And, that's one important thing of a true champion. I mean, you should be able to get that important victory when you actually need it. And they're able to actually get that, yesterday. I mean, very, very solid defensively. That's one attribute you must, accord to them at this particular point in time. Thomas Tuchel has been able to build a team that...
that's one thing I like about the team. It's not just about them scoring so many goals.
Exactly.
But the fact is, when they don't concede...
That's the thing.
It gives them a good base.
Exactly.
To always score at any point in
definitely.
time.
Even if they do not, really score many goals.
Yesterday was just one goal.
It was just one goal, exactly. And it was enough for them to actually get that victory. And that's what really matters. Stuff of a true champion then. Hopefully this continues because, we know at one point in time, our big teams tend to actually flutter, tend to actually have that, torrid season. But Thomas Tuchel has actually shown last season that it can actually push through. Hopefully this one happens again this time time around, and it's going to be a very good one for them.
Okay, we must talk about Hakim Ziyech, who has now scored 8 Champions League goals, equaling Marouane Chamak's record for a Moroccan player. And lastly, about yesterday's games, Paulo Dybala inspired Juventus wrapped up their progress with 2 games to spare. So they're also through, and it looks like it's going to be Juventus and Chelsea out of that particular group. We need to take a break this morning to catch up with the BBC Premier League update. When we return, certainly this evening's games will get our attention, especially Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid, second leg.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Hello, I'm Adam Samuel at the BBC Sports Centre. An injury-time equaliser from Cristiano Ronaldo secured Manchester United a 2-2 draw with Atalanta in the Champions League. They're now second in Group F, level on points with leaders Villarreal. Chelsea won 1-0 away at Malmo to remain second in Group H, a point behind Juventus. Here's Blues boss Thomas Tuchel.
Well, we got the job done. I think that maybe now we get judged by results, but who doesn't? We wanted the result. We needed the result, we expected the result from us, and we delivered.
Tottenham have appointed the former Chelsea and Inter Milan boss Antonio Conte as their new manager until the summer of 2023. The Premier League club sacked Nuno Espirito Santo on Monday after just 17 games, with Spurs 8th in the table. Tottenham say there is an option to extend Conte's deal with them. Former Spurs striker Mido says the club will need to be patient with their new manager.
He's a man who's had success everywhere he's been, at Juve and at Inter and Chelsea. It's a difficult one at Tottenham. We all know that he will need time. I'm a little bit surprised that he signed only 18-month contract, because I think he needs much more time to transform Tottenham.
Newcastle hope to appoint the former Arsenal boss Unai Emery as manager before Saturday's game against Brighton. The Spaniard is currently in charge of Villarreal and was in the dugout for Tuesday's Champions League win against Young Boys. Second from bottom Newcastle have also held talks with the former Bournemouth boss Eddie Howe and ex-Roma manager Paulo Fonseca to replace Steve Bruce, who was sacked by the club's new Saudi Arabia-backed owners last month. And for more football news from the BBC, go to bbc.com/football.
BBC Premier League update from the home of Premier League football.
Okay, great too. I'll be back on SportsBang. Let's quickly run you through the games coming up later this evening in the Champions League. Manchester City against Club Brugge, Liverpool versus Atletico, AC Milan versus FC Porto, Real Madrid the host, Shakhtar Donetsk, RB Leipzig versus PSG, Borussia Dortmund versus Ajax, Sporting Lisbon against Besiktas, and Sheriff Tiraspol versus Inter Milan. Follow me quickly. Let's talk about Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid. Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool should celebrate being with their supporters when they host Atletico Madrid and the Champions League later today. What do you expect in this game?
I mean,
remember Simeone was so angry.
Yeah,
about
he had to run off.
Panned out.
He had to run off after the final. So hopefully he doesn't run off again this time around, because they're coming to the Anfield and it's always a difficult ground, for anybody, especially in the Champions League, to get that win. But this Atletico Madrid you're talking about, a very solid team in their own way as well. Hopefully they try as much as possible to get the needed result in that one. It won't come easy for them. Probably a draw in this one.
Probably a draw. That's what you're calling.
Yeah.
Daniel Akabuzi saying, I'm sorry, the present Minister of Youth and Sport and Social Development should retire. Though he's a media fellow, because, okay, now this is some very strong accusation. Francis Ozo, thank you for watching. Mubarak Adekola, thank you. Adeni Oyeguju, Ronaldo is as good as the coach, okay? Adewale Sheriff, thank you. Thank you so much. Just Football, we're back later this evening at 4 o'clock. 1 hour discussing the round-letter game of soccer. Ferrami Adibwega, thank you so much.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be here today.
Thanks to Boss Clef this morning. Do have a fantastic Wednesday. My name is Tunde Olawuwo. Bye-bye.
Splash FM 105.5.
ẹ̀yin ará lọ́kùnrin lóbìnrin àmúwá fún yín.